What's going on, guys? Chandler here. So this is going to be my new segment on my YouTube channel called First Listen Review that is taken from my $5 tier full album reactions. So I react to the entire album, and then at the very end I give my overall thoughts and initial thoughts and a score on the album as a whole. So again, if you do like what you see and want to support the channel going forward, head over to patreon.com/ChandlerBurtonEntertainment. This is exclusive to the $5 tier. Again, you get a full album reaction, review, and a whole bunch of other perks as well if you guys are interested. And again, there's always a link down below in the description and in the pinned comment. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the review, and thank you all so much for watching. Alright, my friends, so again, Jesus Piece and their new album called So Unknown. Again, this is their second album ever. I thought these guys have been around for years, but man, was I wrong. Really excited to check it out with you guys here. One thing I will say is that I'm loving the runtime. It's like 28 minutes long, and that's like, you could just tell it's going to be paced perfectly, and I'm really excited about that. A lot of people also are asking me on the Patreon, why aren't I doing Metallica first? And I am doing a full album reaction to Metallica's new album. It's just like, today, like, that's a really long video. Like, the album is like an hour and 18 minutes, and with all the editing I have to do on it, it's just not going to be done by the time I go to work. Saturday I'll have that day off, so it'll give me all day to kind of work on it and not have any time constraints with uploading that album. So, but I have been really intrigued to check this one out here. I've had a lot of people tell me, not just my friend Kyle, a lot of people tell me that, dude, this is some good old hardcore music. So I'm really becoming a huge fan of hardcore. Like, I just love the style of it. I just love the way breakdown sound, and I love the way how emotional it is with the lyrics and just everything. So really excited to check it out with you guys here. So let me take a little sip out of my cup. Oh, that's good, man. All right, Jesus Piece, So Unknown. I've not heard one song from this album, so we are in for the long run, baby. Let's start off with number one, and called In Constraints. Let's pop it off here in 3, 2, and 1.
A few moments later.
Man, that was like a really quick listen, but at the same time, it still felt like it was perfect the way it needed to be. Like, I don't know, it's like that weird blend of like, oh, this song might be a little too short, this one might be too short, but at the end of the day, kind of just like rethinking on the tracks I listened to, I'm like, you know what? The length for this type of music was perfect. I really enjoyed this, man. That was a lot of fun. Again, I really am starting to get more and more into hardcore music, and these guys are just adding another piece to that. Jesus Piece, I guess you could say, to like this style of hardcore. I thought it was really cool. So my first listen review for this album is coming up next, so please stick around for that. Alright, my friends, so we just got done jamming the band Jesus Piece and their new album called So Unknown. Really enjoyed it, man. Again, there's a lot of things I loved about it. So let's go and talk about the pros, some of the cons that I picked up, my top 3 favorite songs, and I will give you a score at the very end. So we'll start with pro number one. Pro number one, I really enjoyed the riffs and the breakdowns on this album. There wasn't just like a lot of hardcore breakdowns. There's a lot of like, I guess these guys are described more of like metallic hardcore. And I really like that aspect because I love a lot of the riffs on this album, especially on like Fear of Failure. I thought that was a really cool riff. Even on Stolen Life had a couple of really cool moments on there. And I was like, man, these riffs are really sick. But then, like, as I mentioned in the beginning, like before I started doing the reaction, like when hardcore bands hit with those breakdowns, dude, I can literally imagine the pit in my head, or people just going absolutely crazy on these breakdowns, because they're meant to be big and they're meant to be massive. They're not changing the world by any means. Like, they're definitely breakdowns that we've heard before, and Jesus Piece is not doing anything, like, I guess you could say original, but what I do like about them is that they're just another band that I just think their breakdowns hit really hard. So the riffs and the breakdowns really stood out to me on this album. I'd also say the second pro is that I really enjoyed the vocals on this. Now, obviously, we have the main guy who does vocals, and I think the guy who plays bass or guitar does a little bit of vocals as well. I love their back and forth between one another. I think it contrasts each other really well, so it kind of mixes things up, because obviously this band's not going to have any singing in it, so having two different screamers I thought definitely add a little more flavor to these songs for sure. I mean, there were a few songs that kind of structurally sounded the same, but like when they had like the two vocalists kind of going at it, I really enjoyed that aspect. I also really love the delivery of the vocals. Like, you know, it was just like really punchy, really intense, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So again, I love the two vocalists, and I love like the way that the vocals came out, the enunciation and the pronunciation of them. Thought that was really cool. And then I would say the last pro that I would give this album is that you definitely feel a lot of different types of emotions when it comes to this album. Like, this is a hardcore album through and through. It's meant to have fun, it's meant to go hard, it's meant to just enjoy it with your friends, just have a good time. But if you really dive into some of these lyrics, man, a lot of it can make you feel like angry, a lot of it can make you feel like upset. There are some songs like Silver Lining that are like pretty emotional. That's absolutely talking about the vocalist's kid. I mean, there's no way that that's not. And so, yeah, you just kind of go through different emotions on this album. Now, again, like, the music itself is pretty intense, but, like, if you really listen to it with the lyrics and kind of tie everything together, like, the emotions on this album, there's quite a bit, and I think that's probably good for... It's always good to feel different types of emotions, and so I thought this album actually brought out a lot of that while listening to it. The only real con that I had with this album, and I don't know if it was intentional or anything like that at all, but I personally felt the production on this album was a little bit muffled. It didn't sound terribly bad, but it just felt like the vocals, especially with the main vocals, his vocals were buried so far back, like within the mix, it sounded like to me, that it was just hard for me to hear it some of the time. Well, I think he's really good. I just felt like the production could have been a little bit better. And maybe that's just me. I mean, I listen to like bands who produce like Drew Folk and like Andrew Wade and like Tyler Smith and stuff, and so I don't know, maybe I'm just so used to hearing like so polished production from like metalcore bands that sometimes I know like hardcore bands like kind of want to like, you know, make it like as sound as real as it possibly can. And that could be the case with this one. But for me personally, it just sounded a little bit muffled. But again, that's really the only complaint that I had with this album. So my top 3 favorite songs from this album, I would say number 1, Silver Lining. I think that one's my absolute favorite. Love the sound of it, and I love the message of it. I thought that was really cool. My second one probably be Gates of Horn. That one, again, was like really short, but it was effective, and it was intense. I love the guitar work on it. Yeah, I really like that one. I went back and listened to it again. I went back, like, the songs, when I write them down, I'm always like, I gotta listen to them one more time to make sure they will, like, stick with me, and this one definitely stuck with me, so I really like that one as well. And then honestly, Stolen Life, that one had so many cool moments in it. I love the build up, I love the atmospheric sound to it, love the guitar work on that one. So those are the 3 songs that stuck out to me on Jesus Piece's new album, So Unknown. Overall, man, I really enjoyed this record. Again, as I said before, I'm really starting to get more into hardcore music here, and this band definitely added another tool in the toolkit, I guess you could say, for me listening to this type of music. I really enjoyed it, man. Again, I love how it brought so many emotions to the album. I love like the guitar riffs, I love the breakdowns. Honestly, I really like the runtime. I know it's a little bit shorter for some people, but again, like, I just thought it was really well paced and the runtime was perfect for me. Again, some people like really long albums with really long songs. I prefer songs that are like between 2 and 3 minutes and are about 30 to 35 minutes long. Like, that's my usual length of like what I personally enjoy. So for me personally, I really enjoyed that aspect here. I also love how kind of chaotic this album is as well. Like, a lot of the songs, in my opinion, don't really have like a lot of structure. Some of the songs do sound a little bit the same, like kind of like the breakdowns and those types of things, but I kind of like how chaotic it is, and I don't know, it just kind of brings that emotion. It's like, you know, life's pretty chaotic, and so honestly this album kind of fits with that. So that's just something that I kind of picked up that I really enjoyed. But yeah, man, I love this album. I thought it was really cool. I don't think it's perfect by any means. I don't think it's going to be, it may not even make my top 10 albums of the year, but definitely something I'll go back and listen to, and definitely add a couple of songs to my workout playlist for sure. I'm going to give Jesus Piece So Unknown, their second LP, an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. If you had not listened to these guys before, that actually is okay. They only have one other album, so again, these guys are brand new. So again, if you want to go back and do a deep dive into their discography, really easy to do so.